What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's a scorching hot day today. It's like, I don't know, 96 right now, and I'm just walking this piece of property. All the corn, everything's coming up, but I want to give you my experience with this, and it's about trespassing and trespassers and how, you know, trail cameras, you know, can work in your advantage, and how to also prevent, you know, trespassers. But I've had my fair share of this over the years, you know, over the past 20 years, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. And if you don't have private land, then you probably don't understand, you know, how this is, you know, irritating and affects people in different ways. Because, you know, typically if somebody's going to trespass, then most likely they're going to, you know, steal from you. And one thing I cannot stand is a thief. So I have no, I do not tolerate trespassing anymore. Over the years, you know, I've always been, you know, the Mr. Nice Guy, where, you know, somebody trespasses, it's always, oh, you know, don't worry about it, you know, just don't come back. And they either come back, a friend of theirs comes back, or they come back and they steal something. And, you know, over the past 4 years, I've had a fair share of this. And the why people do it, I don't know, but, you know, the number one step with this is always, when you get a piece of property, is just hang signs. You know, signs aren't going to prevent, you know, trespassing per se. It's just, you know, as people always say, it's going to keep the honest people honest, and they do help in a way, because I feel like a lot of people, you know, they kind of drive around and they look for property, and they see a property that's not posted. They're, in their minds, they think, oh, it's not posted, I can hunt it. And there is, I guess in some states, there's laws on that, to where if the property's not posted, you can hunt it, which to me is stupid, because it's not your property. And one thing that I will absolutely never do is go onto somebody else's property, whether it's to hunt, just to walk through, or whatever it is. I will not go on there. If I shoot a deer and it runs onto a neighbor's property, I'm going to make a phone call. I'm going to find that neighbor. There's so many apps out there these days with HuntStand and Onyx, and, you know, different apps to where you can find that landowner's information, and you can go to their house and just, out of respect, say, hey, I shot a deer. Is it okay if I go on your property and retrieve it? And I guess, I don't know the laws in each state, but, like, you know, sometimes I guess you can just go get it. Other times, you know, technically you need permission to get that animal. And out of respect, I always do, because I always say this, you know, it's like when you have your house, you don't want a neighbor, or you don't want a trespasser walking through your backyard, right? It's not their property. You have your piece of property for privacy and to enjoy it and hunt, and not have to deal with these types of issues, right? So I always relate to that, and people always say, oh, that's stupid. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know, it's not stupid. If you tell me, if you want a trespasser, a random person walking through your backyard, walking through your yard in general, do you want that? Probably not. And it's the same with hunting property, because when you have hunting property, you want to be able to enjoy that property and enjoy everything that it has to offer, whether you're just hiking or riding your four-wheeler, or you're hunting, you're turkey hunting, bird hunting, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, you're taking your daughter to, you're taking your son, you're taking your wife, whatever, you want to be able to go to that property, enjoy it, and not have to worry about these issues. So over the years, I've always been Mr. Nice Guy, and just said, I approach the people and don't come back. Well, somebody else ends up coming back, and they end up stealing stuff. And as you guys know, I guess it was probably 4 years ago, I had a guy come onto my property wearing a trash bag, and he stole 9 trail cameras, destroyed a dual perimeter electric fence, busted the solar panel with a hammer. And I had all these on trail cameras, and this is where trail cameras come in handy, because it was a cell cam. I got the guy on camera, and at that time I was Mr. Nice Guy and didn't do nothing about it, but I saved those photos. Well, I had them on camera, and I posted that video on social media, and the video like went almost viral, with people sharing it and trying to figure out who it was. And at that time, people knew who that person was, because fast forward to now is I've had people come out and say, hey, I know that guy. And this goes into the next part of this is last year I had 2 guys come onto my property, and I don't know why they were there, but a cell cam caught them, hidden cell cam caught them guys, had no clue who they were. I posted the picture on social media. 2 months later, I had somebody send me a message, anonymous person, sent me a message and said, hey, I know who that guy is, but I don't know who the second person is. I said, okay, tell me the name and I'll keep it confidential and we'll go from there. Well, he told me the person's name, and by this time I was completely just irritated with the whole thing. I went to the police station, I filed a report, and the officer, I gave the original guy, the trash bag thief I call him, and which he has no respect, zero, none at all. I gave another name to the second person that I was told who it was, and then up in the air was the third person. Well, I went to the police station, and in order for this to work, you have to find an officer that's willing to help you, because I've called the police and things over the years, and sometimes they will help, sometimes they won't help. But I gave him the scenario, gave him all the trail camera videos and pictures and everything that I had, and he calls me back the next day and said, hey, I figured out who the third person was. And I said, well, how'd you do that? And it's a cop that wants to help, and he simply explained, it's not hard. There's only so many people in this town. I ran the database, pictures match, we know who it is. So I filed that report and I wanted them prosecuted, and the process went on, and he approached these people, went to their house, and all the information was gathered, and it went from there. So in order, for this stuff to work, you can't be Mr. Nice Guy on this. You have to be willing to put in the effort to save the trail camera footage and post your property. And now there's certain states, there's purple paint law, you can purple paint it and put up gates and this and this and this. But I think when it's all said and done, you have to be willing to go forward with this and actually prosecute the people in order for it to stop, because once you do that, then people know you're serious and you're not messing around. So as I get older, I have zero tolerance for this, and if somebody comes onto my property, they're getting prosecuted as far as whatever the law allows, and from here on out. And that's what you guys should do too, because if you're a hunter, a so-called hunter, and you're trespassing, you're not a hunter, you're not a sportsman, you're nothing, and people always say, well, I didn't see the signs. And I had this guy 2 years ago come onto my property, and I was arguing with him, and he said, oh, I didn't see the signs. Well, what do you need signs for? Just, if the property is not yours, then you shouldn't be there, right? And you shouldn't need a sign to be able to tell yourself where you're at. It's just it's the excuse that these clowns use is, I didn't see the signs, I didn't know. Well, do you own it? Well, no, I don't own it. Well, then okay, well, you shouldn't be there. And again, if you don't have private property, then you might not understand, or if you're just a trespasser and you do this all the time, then it's not, you don't care about this because you just trespass and you do whatever you want. Well, the reason for private land is it's private, right? It's whoever has that land, that's their property, and you don't belong there. But you can hang signs, you can put up gates, you can purple paint, you can do this, you can do that, and all that stuff I think helps in a small degree, but it all boils down to the actual going forward and pressing charges and getting the word out that you're not fooling around. And from here on out, if somebody comes on, I got hidden trail cameras and cell cams, I got a picture, and you can have friends that go to your property and check on it for you from time to time, and you give one of the officers in that area, the game commission officer, I've had long talks with him, and I actually gave him a bottle of Antler Grow and became friends with him. He has a key to the property, permission, he can go on that property anytime he wants for this stuff, and to prevent this situation. And there's nothing to hide, and if you are the same, there's nothing to hide, you can give these officers permission, then they are more than willing to check on the property and do what they got to do to prevent this issue. And it's just going to get worse and worse, because as time goes on, properties get more expensive and people are lazy and don't want to work more hours, or do what they got to do in order to get private land. And there's lease properties you can lease for fairly reasonable money, but you got to work for it. And if you don't have private property, then I would encourage you to work more hours and go in with a buddy and figure it out and get private land and do it, and not trespass. Do things the right way and do things sportsmanlike, and don't poach and don't trespass, and respect other people's property. So if you guys have this issue, let me know in the comments below. I know everybody deals with it, but I'd love to hear your story about it. And that's my story. I hope it helped, but you just have to go forward with it. So any questions, leave them down below. Give the video a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next video.